It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to jump in that gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to go through Xerox's second quarter numbers. But before I do that, I want to do a big shout out and thank you to Warren Mandy, the Managing Director of Altron Business Solutions. What an honor it was to be able to speak to Altron Business Solutions direct operations and their dealer operations. I did verify this for an absolute fact down there in South Africa. There is absolutely zero crying in print. These are some bold dealers, ladies and gentlemen. Man, they had some great questions. We had some great interactions. There was nobody in that group so insecure of their place in the future. What they wanted to do was solidify their relevance in the future. Just like all over the world, anybody that sells supplies and service print equipment knows the industry's got its challenges. Whether you're in South Africa or whether you're in Miami, Florida, whether you're in Maine, whether you're in Sydney, Australia, it doesn't matter. The industry is being disrupted by innovation. The industry has its challenges. And it's only going to be through bold leadership can those challenges be met head on. Can reinventions take place so that the industry's actors can maintain a continuous relevance. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking in South Africa and getting to know these folks and learning from these folks. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I talk a lot about the intersection between the digital and physical world, and I'm trying to driving around the Cape Town, the coast with Warren, and you see the rocks and you see the water. And I wanted to come up with another graphic to explain my intersection between the digital and physical world. Ladies and gentlemen, digital processes is what's needed for physical actions. And our industry basically is bridging the gap. We're bringing structure to unstructured information. Without information, it's impossible to have the physical actions. Those digital processes, well, sure, they're changing. You know, part of Warren's presentation, he shared some old commercials that Xerox had published in the 70s. And one of those commercials was a gentleman standing by a Boeing airplane, talking about how Xerox was an important component in the manufacturing of that airplane. I don't know if y'all know this, but back in the 70s, Xerox was in the airplane building business. He walked up to a big pile of documents, millions and millions of documents that were 8.5 by 11, documents that were wide format, blueprints of planes, and he was talking about how that information had to get into the hands of people to create action. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed since the 70s is the way the information is processed. Faster computers, for one. The digital world has grown tremendously. But isn't our industry just filling the gap between digital processes and physical action? That's all we're doing. We're bridging the gap. Folks, I got to tell you, maybe it took a trip to South Africa for it to ring a bell in my head. But that intersection between the digital and physical world is real. Our industry is bridging the gap, and it'll be those leaders in our industry that understand this, that can go out into the marketplace and shake shit up, that are going to win. That can bring those digital processes to their clients so their clients can create physical actions. So now let's jump on the board and talk about Xerox's numbers. Xerox second quarter. They made a new guidance. Some people are freaking out. Oh my God, Xerox. They made a new guidance for their year end that their revenue was going to decline by a minimum of 5% instead of a minimum of 3%. This is terrible. I'm thinking, what in the hell? Folks, our industry's got a whole lot more to worry about than declining your revenue by 2 points. A whole lot more to worry about. But I will say this for Xerox, they're always out front with their intentions. Their guidances are pretty much spot on. They're telling the whole world we're going through a reinvention, and guess what? Reinventions are hard. But we're going to do what we need to do, and we're sure as hell not going to chase revenue at all costs because we want to maintain our profitability. Their guidance for FY 2024 for them is a 6.5% operating profit. Well above some other folks in our industry that try to hide the fact that they don't make any operating profit. Kick the can down the road. Give themselves an award so they can distract the marketplace from their inability to make operating profit. Let's look at some numbers. Xerox 6 months in, quarter one and quarter two, combined revenue is $3,080,000,000. Their operating profit on that $3,080,000,000 6 months in is $118.2 million. It's an operating margin of 3.9%. They'll get to their 6.5%. That's what they're saying. They changed their guidance. They're going to have a decline of 5% to 6%. Ladies and gentlemen, it was 3% to 5%. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But they're telling you. They're telling you the revenue is going to decline. They're telling you they're not going to chase revenue at all costs. They're going through a reinvention, and reinventions are pretty damn painful. They're changing the way they distribute products all over the world. They're moving from direct to dealer business. That should be fantastic news for all the dealers, right? They're doing away with unprofitable business segments. They're making major changes to those segments. And anytime you do that, obviously you're going to have revenue declines. But in an industry that needs reinvention, folks, focus on profitability. Focus on where those declines are coming from. And if those declines are coming from evacuating businesses that are unprofitable, applaud them, okay? Reinventions aren't easy. They never were. I want to do a comparison here, and I know a lot of you are probably tired as hell of me comparing Konica to everybody, but Konica's a great story because it's the biggest disaster in our industry. Their ability to make profitability doesn't even exist. For their FY 2024, which will end in March of 2025, they're projecting they're going to have a 1.1% operating profit. If Xerox went to the marketplace and said we're going to have a 1.1% operating profit, all hell would break loose. But for some reason, some of these Japanese conglomerates can get away with it. You know, we'll see Konica post an award they won like every other day, trying to distract people from their reality. Konica can talk about how their revenue's growing all they want. They can't make any money off the revenue. Maybe they should start declining their own revenue in the print business and some of their other businesses. And Xerox is going through a reinvention, and Xerox has to change and diversify their deliverable. You know, years ago, Konica thought, hey, we got to do something different. We got to diversify. We got to become a conglomerate that has a diversified portfolio. We got to protect ourselves as our main business of print declines and gets threatened by innovation. But if you think about it, Konica hasn't been able to pull it off successfully because it's dragging down the whole damn company, all their diversification strategies. They're projecting for their FY 2024 to have a 1.1% operating profit. Where's the outrage on this? They're projecting that they're going to wipe out $348.9 million in corporate, etc. Big old loss. What is all that about? Ladies and gentlemen, reinventions aren't easy. Reinventions take bold leadership, and reinvention takes damn honesty. But where the hell's the scrutiny on this company called Konica Minolta? They can't just keep giving themselves awards trying to distract you. You need to dig into their numbers. You need to demand that those leaders at Konica Minolta start being as honest as some of the other actors in our industry. You know, Xerox has to align cost with market realities. They say that they want to have 20% of their revenue coming from digital IT services by the 2026-2027 time frame. In 2023, it's 10%. They want to double that revenue bucket. But Xerox has to maintain profitability. Xerox can't just give themselves an award, plaster it all over their website, and come in with really crappy profitability. They actually have to perform. And as they seek this revenue bucket increase from 10% to 20% of their portfolio in digital IT services, they're going to have to pay attention. They're going to have to do it right. They're going to have to learn from those that have done it wrong. They're going to have to pay attention to the customer in the marketplace. And if they do these things, they can increase their revenue in the digital IT services component of their business to 20%. As long as they don't chase revenue at all costs and keep a focus on profitability, they'll do just fine. I want to end it with this slide. I put some thoughts together. The industry's value add is ever more becoming recognized in ways the value add of electricity is recognized. Think about that. The core deliverer of print is being recognized in the customers you service and support the way they recognize electricity. Just turn it on, turn it off. It's just something they got to do when they got to do it. But they don't really recognize a lot of value. They don't understand the infrastructure of their electricity. They don't. They just know if they turn the light switch on, the lights come on. They know if they hit print, it works. But here's the problem. However, when the power grid is down, they scream of all the lost benefits. So they think about the print industry like they think about the electrical industry. It's just something they need in their business, the power, the print. However, when the electricity goes off, they can scream about all the benefits they're losing because the electricity went off. Ladies and gentlemen, when the electricity goes out in a print in an office, do they scream? I don't think they scream. Oh, there might be some verticals that'll scream, but for the most part, they don't scream. They just figure out a better process to get the information where it needs to go to cause physical action. Our industry needs to get its customers to scream when this power goes out. What are we going to do in those offices that when the customers can't do what we provide, they scream? They used to scream about the printers. They used to scream about the copiers. But those screams have silenced. And as the industry looks to transition and diversify itself, think about it. What are we going to bring to these customers that if they couldn't do it, they would scream at us? That brings value to how you support and respond to the screams. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.